Find your people. And I have found Mandee. She is a world traveler yet again this week. And I found her, and I'm so glad that I found her.
Hopefully that is coming to an end for a minute
Good, because it's
before it
my
will
turn.
crank back up again. But
It's my turn in the month of February.
well, good, good. Look forward
Sure,
to hearing those tales.
sure. Just as a quick reminder, a programming note.
As they
And
say.
I guess we don't really have to because it'll be too late because it's on the podcast. But if you're hearing us a day late, it's because JT, our sweet, precious, and I say this with the greatest respect and love for him because I've known him for several years now, nerdalicious nerdyton, because I'm a nerd too in many ways, is getting married and moving. So if it's a little bit later than you normally listen to our podcast, then that is why. And we wish him all the luck in the world moving. It stinks. And
Oh
we
yeah,
wish him
no.
all the luck in the world with his new marriage, which is wonderful that he's
Will
found
they get
this
married like this
little girl.
weekend?
No, not this weekend,
Oh,
but soon. It's
okay.
soon. Yep. Yep. I offered my services as a flower girl. I told him I was an excellent skipper. And since I could skip so well, I could also skip and toss flowers at the same time. Um, because I've known that he was going to ask her to marry him since the summer at camp, but um he denied me and declined my offer to be a flower girl.
I can't imagine. The very idea.
I mean,
I've
it
seen
really
a couple of
hurt my spirit.
Instagram posts where people's grandmothers were their flower girls.
I'm basically that to him. He's a child.
That was pretty cute. I have to see what Gracie's doing.
Gracie. So, Mandee, if you follow her on the socials, you'll see that Gracie is with her right now.
She's fine. She was just checking things out. She's a little dog, and I have big dogs, and so whenever Gracie comes, she gets in all the corners where nobody ever goes. And
Nobody
like
ever goes there.
my bed is on risers.
Me too.
I live in 580 square feet, so I have to take advantage of every square inch I can get.
Indeed.
So the first time she ever came over, first thing she did was get under that bed, and she came out with a little chapstick, those little EOS
Yeah.
chapstick balls.
Yeah.
She's so excited with that. And I'm like, I've been wondering where that was. Thank you,
I love
Gracie.
her. She's a
So
little hunter gatherer for you. I love
listen,
that. Finding all the things.
she's a big help.
I love it. I love it. Well, Mandy, tell us all about your week. I know it was dotted with a little bit of sadness, but I'm sure it was good to see everybody. So I can't wait to hear how it was.
It was our dear friend of the pod, Lee Willis, I started to say. That was her maiden name. Her name is now Lee Bailey.
Yep.
Her mama, Miss Karen, died last Monday
Mm.
afternoon. And so we had her funeral on Sunday. So I headed, Lee had asked me to sing months ago, a, a solo, but then also we decided to do an ensemble, which is interesting in Moultrie, Georgia, because everybody in Moultrie sings.
Every one of y'all sang.
Everybody in Moultrie sings. So when you go to, it's not like you're going to have the choir. I've sung in a lot of choirs, and a lot of times the choir will just sing at somebody's funeral or something.
Sure.
No, no, this was
No, no.
people who were really good friends with Lee and Laura, and or really special to Miss Karen, who comprised this ensemble. They were
Mhm.
graduates of our high school that spanned 10 years.
Which
The
is
oldest one
crazy.
graduated in 88, and the youngest one in like 98, 99. And so we met, and this is another, so this subject heading on our notes for me was you can't go home again, but you can.
But you can.
So this is a prime example of what I mean. We met at the house, the Redding's house. When I was growing up, it was Dr. Lee Redding, who was the father to my friend Kelly Redding.
Mm.
Well, now it's Kelly's brother, John Lee, who owns the house. It's the same house, but John Lee and his wife completely redid it. You
Right.
walk in and it looks like a different house. So it's the same name and the same location. John Lee's a
Right.
dentist too. It's a completely different
A
house.
completely
Hopefully,
different
I don't know
house.
what Gracie's doing.
Gracie is a troublemaker, but I like that about her. I
Nothing.
love a good troublemaker.
She's just sitting on the bed fussing. I don't know why.
Okay, well,
Gracie, behave yourself.
it's so close
Uh,
to happy hour. That's probably why she's ready for her bourbon drink.
we're in Central Time. It's
Oh, never
3
mind.
o'clock.
I forget
3 o'clock.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I forget that every
Um,
time.
but anyway, so we met at the Redding's house. These probably 12 of us who, I've sung with Lee my whole life. I've sung with Beth and Wes all over Europe and in church, and
Yeah.
our friend Lynn, who was a year younger than us. Like we've all sung together, and then all of Laura's friends who were much younger, like they've all sung together, but never have all of us sung
Never
together.
the twain have met.
Exactly. So, um, and it was of course they had to laugh. So Lee's little sister Laura interned for Saxby and then ended
Mm,
up going into the political fundraising world.
love it.
Um, and so she and I, we're already friends because she was Lee's little sister, but then we got to be friends through that as well because she was my intern when I worked in the office. But she had to tease me because that we only had 3 sopranos and
Oh,
probably 6 altos. And
mm.
Laura was like, "Don't worry about it. Mandy's over there."
Andy's gonna sing loud enough for everybody.
It's like, bite me, Laura.
I love
Oh,
it.
but she's not wrong.
Well,
Um,
that's why we love you because you drown me out. If we are
ugh,
ever together and we will be singing, you will drown me out.
that's not the goal in an ensemble, though.
I know.
But anyway, so we ran through it, and it's a song that apparently. So my dad left Moultrie in '97, and plenty of his choirs had sung this song. It's "The Lord Bless You and Keep You,"
Yeah.
and plenty of his choirs had sung that song. There are a couple of different arrangements of it, but plenty of his choirs had sung this particular arrangement of it. But I don't remember ever singing it. But
Mm.
apparently, a lot of times the seniors would sing it at the final concert of the year. And
Ah,
so at some point, it maybe started when he left and they just kept doing it. I don't know. But at some point, it became a thing. And so apparently, they now always sing it at the spring concert. The seniors sing it at spring concert. So all the young kids had sung this song before. All us old folks, maybe not.
yeah.
So anyway, it was pretty magical that and Jimbo,
Oh, it
who is
is.
now the choir director, who graduated in 1990, he's now the choir director, and he we ran through it one time, and he's like, "Think y'all have ever sung before?" It's just really pretty cool that
Yeah,
can happen, and that it can happen, in such a specific, special way to honor Miss Karen,
absolutely.
that way. And Lee and Laura were telling us, I didn't realize, Lee was saying Miss Karen played the piano in her church growing up, and that she and Lee would sit there at Moultrie First Methodist Church and harmonize every Sunday. And I
I
was like, well, that
love it
explains why you have such a good ear, Lee.
so
Of it,
much.
part of it was inherited too, but
Well,
so anyway, it was a great, great service. And that was a big part of it. My solo was fine. Um,
I'm sure
yeah,
you're
it was
underselling.
fine.
I'm sure you're
Um,
underselling. I've met you. I'm sure you're underselling. I'm
it
sure.
was fine. But
Amazing.
anyway, after rehearsal was over, I was kind of like, okay,
Moving right along past your lovely voice.
now what? So that's the weird thing when your parents leave your hometown.
Yeah,
And then it's like, well, you don't really have a home base. I have several home bases
sure, sure,
that I
sure.
can go to, and I will tell y'all the sweetest thing that ever happened was Sherry Ann Whidden, who is Julie and Chambliss's sister. They're actually cousins, but they were raised as sisters. Miss Sherry Ann Whidden came up to me at our last Sunday at Moultrie First Methodist Church and handed me a key to her house she had gone and had a keychain made that said home, and she handed me a key to her house, and she said, "You will always have a home in Moultrie, Georgia."
Stop it. Now I'm gonna
It'll make me
cry.
cry right now.
I
Um,
know.
but then see, then things like this happen, and Miss Sherry Ann is now dead.
Yeah.
So
So you don't I mean, you could break into a house, but that's probably not the best of ideas, even in Moultrie.
so I had just gotten a hotel room,
Oh
and
yeah.
The number of people who got pissed off at me
Oh, I
for
bet.
having gotten a hotel room. I mean, and I get it, but I didn't know what we were gonna be doing, like, I didn't
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
just, I didn't wanna impose on anybody, but so I ended up, just popping in and seeing a couple of different folks, which I can do very easily,
Yeah.
and then went to the Dairy Queen.
Look, of all the things, and I did not know and do not know Lee, although I'm sure she's one of those people that listens to the podcast that would be my very best friend if we ever when we do meet. But the picture that got my attention the most was that cup of cheese because I was like, I'm so mad at Brooke that the times I've been to Moultrie, she has not introduced me to the cup of cheese. I'm so
Listen,
mad.
there's nothing better.
It looked
Um
fantastic.
So yeah, so I got myself a burger and a cup of cheese, and I went back to my hotel room and I watched 48 Hours, and it was
You
very
were
nice.
just happy as a clam
Yeah.
with a cup of
Um,
cheese. It's literally, y'all, it's a cup of cheese. It's one of those plastic condiment cups of cheese, and it looked like I could dive into it.
and it's not nacho cheese. Every now and
No,
then they would run out or they would get the wrong delivery or something, and
mm,
we'd all be like, "Oh no, that's not
no,
it."
no.
We're getting an order tomorrow. Yeah, I heard that, Gracie. I don't know what it was. Um, but anyway, so then I had intended on getting up and going to church
Mm,
on Sunday morning, but then I remembered I had to iron my dress.
yes.
And that put me back just long enough that I could not because it was a lot of dress. So we had a lunch at the church at noon, and then we had the service, and it all went well. It was beautiful. Miss Katrina McIntosh, the mayor's wife,
Oh,
who is one of my favorite people on the face of planet Earth,
love that.
gave the most amazing eulogy, y'all.
I
I
didn't realize
just
that she was the mayor's wife. Like, that's
listen.
very
Oh yeah,
important.
Miss Katrina is
The
many
first
things.
lady of Moultrie.
Miss Katrina, who also we grew up in, also went to First Methodist Church. Um, she used to tell us all the time that she had a specific person she wanted to set us up with when we were like in high school and college,
Sure.
and we were all like, "Nah, whatever, Miss Katrina." Until she set Lee up with
Stop.
William. William is Katrina's godson. And so once we saw how wonderful William was, we were all
Well,
like, "Okay, Miss Katrina, we're ready now." And she was like,
done.
"Mandee,
Time.
my Gerald cousin, I had in mind for you. He met somebody in medical school. Sorry, whatever it was." So
Yeah.
missed that, missed that opportunity. But Miss Katrina is just amazing. She's wonderful, and she gave a beautiful eulogy. And Miss Karen was one of those people that sort of the running theme from everybody was how generous she was with her time and
Mm.
how involved she was in the community. I think my favorite this is a great my favorite story, the art center posted her obituary and they had just a little blurb on Facebook and it was like Karen was, da, 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 patron of the arts, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then at the very end it said, "But say that better than I did." So it was very clear that whoever had posted it on the art center page had just cut and pasted an email.
Ah!
Oopsie.
That is 100% something I would do.
It was straight out of Parks and Rec. It made me laugh
I
so
love
hard.
it.
But what somebody commented on that post, and one of the things they said was, "I think of her every time I drive on the bypass, remembering how she got all those trees planted in the median."
Mm.
Like that's
Yeah.
who Karen Willis
She
was.
just wanted Moultrie to be its best self, and she
Yeah.
did everything she could to do that, to make that
Yeah.
happen.
And never told anybody no. She was an entrepreneur, like she was a businesswoman. She had several different businesses, and I can remember when she started a bridal boutique business with one of her best
Mm.
friends. And I can remember that because I had never known a woman who did anything other than teach.
Mhm. It's amazing what us women can do, huh?
So it was just anyway. So it
I
was
love
great.
it.
It was good to be home. I saw Brooke's mama, Miss
Oh,
Myra Jane,
I
sure
love
did.
Myra Jane. Myra Jane and I love her. Myra Jane.
Love Myra Jane. And she said something about Brooke, and I said, "Well, tell her to check my Instagram, and she'll be able to, because somebody's going to record it. Tell her to check my
Yeah.
Instagram, and she can see." So Brooke and I were chatting on Instagram last night, and I have to look. I don't think she said something, and then I said, You probably haven't listened. I don't think you have listened,
Because you would have already reached out and said,
but
stop
we
using my
shout you
name in
out on the
vain.
podcast every
Every
week. And
week.
yes, she still hadn't seen that yet. So I can't wait. She's gonna freak out.
She is gonna freak out. What I loved about all your posts this week too, the cheese, the lovely music that you posted was the whole post a picture of when you were 21 and there was Brooker and your little FAMU selves and your well, what did they used to call those? Zaps?
We called him Sure Shot.
Sure
The
Shot,
picture man.
Zaps. Yeah,
The
whatever
picture man.
company did it. Yeah. But I was like, oh, it's Brooker and Mandy in their FAMU jerseys. I loved it.
Heck yeah.
Good
Heck yeah. So
FAMUs.
yeah, so for those of y'all who may have missed our first episode, Katie and I met via our friend Brooke, and Brooke and I grew up together, went to church together, took dance together. And then our high school was only 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And so you didn't come to the high school until the 10th grade. And our choir, you had to audition to be in a cappella. And so a lot of 10th graders didn't make it, but Brooke was one of the 10th graders
Brooke
who
has
made
a
it.
beautiful voice.
And so we got to be, close. My senior year, her sophomore year, we knew each other and had danced together and all that,
Hmm.
but got to be friends that year. And then when I graduated, then she starred in the musical the next 2 years, and then decided she was coming to Mercer. And so she was my little sister in FIMU. And then I think she taught for 1 year. Did she teach at FPD? Do you
With
remember?
me. I was there
Okay.
too.
She
We taught
majored in
together.
music.
That's mm-hmm.
Gotcha. She majored in music and taught for just 1 year, right? Or was it
Mm-hmm.
two?
Yeah, just one.
Okay. And then because I remember her calling me and saying, "This ain't it.
Mm-mm.
What do I do?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Come to DC."
Yeah.
And so she did. She came to DC, but
Well,
that
we
was after
stayed in
I.
Macon one more year because we worked for Saxby for his
That's right. Y'all
last
did Saxby's campaign.
house race. We did his before he jumped to the Senate, we did his last house race
That's right.
together. And so
Although,
we worked together for a while.
because I was back in law school.
I'm sure we met, but I mean, law school's hard. You spent a lot of time in that
I
in
just
your
can't believe I
study
wasn't hanging out
rooms.
with Brooke more.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was thinking
Well,
about.
we were both, and we traveled so much, and that's like my Geico friends, we got to be so very close because we traveled
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
And so Brooke and I traveled all over South Georgia together. And so, that really that bonds you closer. And people thought we were sisters. I mean, she's much skinnier and prettier than I am, but we both have
Shut it.
blonde hair. It's true. We both have blonde hair. We were both FAMUs. So we were both
You
like
are
had the same
sisters.
cackle. We are sisters. We're sorority sisters. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so people thought we were actually sisters because we were so close.
Do you remember me at that victory party?
Yes, I do. We
I was
cannot
hoping you
talk
were gonna
about that victory party at all. We cannot. When I tell you, it is not for this podcast. Honey bun, we are not talking about any victory party that I've ever been a part of
I was really hoping you were going to say no.
when it's recorded. I'm not going there.
Friends, let's just say I woke up the morning after the election night of Bush v. Gore, and I didn't realize I wasn't the only one who didn't know who was president. But I had no clue.
I
went to
I'm
class,
not
man.
good. I
I
cannot.
got
I
up and went
can't
to
even.
class.
I can't even. I can't discuss it at all.
All I remember is Autumn. We were all up on stage for the news channel to like film Saxby, and all
Yeah,
I just remember Autumn's hand coming over my mouth.
yeah. I think because I elbowed Autumn and said, "Put your hand over Randy's mouth."
Woohoo!
Oh, God. We can't discuss any victory party I've ever been a part of.
Oh,
Period. End of story. While things are
oh,
recording in this world,
Lord, that was a doozy.
they may not let me be a preacher anymore. I'm just saying.
So anyway,
That was a long time ago, people. We have both grown and matured
I don't know.
ish.
Depends on the night.
Ish.
Oh God.
Great memories. But
I
that's
wouldn't
how
get up and
Mandy and
go
I
to class the
know
next
each
day.
other.
I wouldn't get up and go to class the next day now. I can promise you that.
I don't, if my recollection through my own haze is correct, I don't think there was much you could do the next day.
I went to class.
But did you like learn?
Oh gosh, no. But I was
Okay.
there.
Right.
And so I had
Do
a
you remember the night? Yes, I'm better than you.
oh, listen. Yeah.
Oh,
Anywho,
Lord.
baseball. So guess y'all, we're a month out from
I can't
baseball.
believe it. I okay, I know we're trying to move on past things that'll get us arrested, but I can't believe we're so close to baseball.
Very excited.
It's right around the corner.
Very excited. And I will say that my Tavis obsession has helped me bridge this gap a little bit more. I'm excited. I mean, I used to really like all football.
Yeah.
Um, and then I just fell off of football. I don't even know why. But so I'm glad to have been
Yeah.
interested in football again.
I've never been interested in NFL very much. I always watch the Super Bowl for the commercials and the halftime show and never watch the game. This year I'll watch the game. So, and I don't think we're allowed to say Super Bowl on anything without giving them a bunch of money, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I don't think they care.
Can't say that's
No, this trademarked out the yang yang. And if you listen to any like newscast, they always just say the game or whatever. So
seriously.
yes,
Whatever. Let him say what
whatever.
there. I'll
Yep.
represent.
Yep.
Um,
So I'm excited about the game too.
yeah, and I was watching. So I was in the car driving home from Moultrie with the game on my phone on
Mm,
Sunday
yeah.
and stopped at the grocery store on the way home and sat in the parking lot of the grocery store until the final minute ticked off, and then still had it going, had the volume turned down, but had it sitting in my cart. And all of a sudden I look down and I'm like, Taylor is on the
And
field.
they're kissing and saying, I love you. And it just made my day. Like I was like, I love, look, I haven't always loved a love story, but I'm here for it.
I know. I think
I'm here
it's
for it.
sweet.
I still don't like Valentine's Day, but I'm here for this.
Um, but anyway, so that has bridged the gap for me a little bit
Yes.
for baseball. And now we are less than a month from
Can't believe it.
spring training starting, which is exciting, and college baseball
And
starting.
college. Yeah.
Um, but Braves Fest was last weekend, and I saw the nicest quote from one of our baseball players of the week about another one of our baseball players of the week. So Michael Harris the second is the Braves center fielder, and he is just sweetest, cutest young
Yep.
man.
We love him.
He's already started his foundation. He's just good. He's a great player. He's a good human being. And he's a great bowler. And like if you follow him on Instagram, you would have seen that he was bowling. But then he went on Mookie Betts, who was another one of our baseball players of the week. Mookie
Yes. Love
is actually now
Mookie.
going to be the second baseman for the Dodgers. Um, and Mookie is also like Mookie could be like a champion bowler. Like I feel like he's won some championships in bowling. So anyway, then subsequently they have bowled together. Um, Mookie came to Michael's big fundraiser for his foundation that was just a couple of weeks ago, which was at a bowling alley, and they had a bowl off. Like it was great. But I
And you
love
follow him
their
on Instagram? Is that where you said you follow him?
yeah,
Okay.
both of them.
Okay.
And also Michael is also engaged. He proposed to his girlfriend about a week or so ago.
Love it.
But anyway, somebody at Braves Fest asked Michael, I think just sort of like if he had a mentor, somebody who had mentored him, and Michael was like, "Yeah, it's actually Mookie." And I thought that was just so nice that he said, that they've really gotten to be close, and that Mookie has really advised him on how to handle, some business things and that sort of thing. And I just love because Mookie has said, like when he was in he got traded to the Dodgers from the Red Sox,
How
and
was
he
I
has
not following
said,
either one of those? Now I am, so I can't wait.
but Mookie has said he is making a concerted effort
Mhm.
to be a face for baseball to attract more young black men
I love it.
to play, and that he's taken that on
Mhm.
purposefully, which was different than how he previously sort of conducted himself as a young kid in the league. He was just doing his
Sure.
thing, but now he feels a responsibility to sort of be an ambassador for that. And so to hear that he and Michael Harris are friends and that he's looking out for the kid, I just love that.
I love
So
that.
that story. And then the other big baseball news, y'all, is it looks like the Orioles are going to be sold, which is such good news. The
Okay.
Orioles have been owned by, I think it's Angelos, I think is the name of the people who have owned the Orioles for a long time.
Mhm.
The dad died a while back, and the
Okay.
children have, it's like, succession has been happening within the
Yes.
organization, and they will not spend any money. They have gotten good because they were so bad that they
Yeah.
kept getting first round draft picks, and all of those first round draft picks have hit. So they've got Adley Rushman, who's their catcher, who was their number one pick 3 or 4 years ago, and then his name just escaped me. They had whoever the rookie of the year was for the American League last
Mhm.
year, also an Oriole, and then they've got Jackson Holiday, who's probably going to come up next year. He looks like he's 11.
They
But so
all do at this point, Mandy.
they all, like, their draft picks have all hit.
Yeah.
They've gotten good because of that, but they won't spend any money.
So they won't stay and they won't get other players to help those few little first rounders.
They had not even re-signed a lease with Camden Yards until like within the past 2 or 3 months.
That is an iconic baseball stadium.
And this family is just awful. So it will be such good news and so good for baseball if it
Do we
gets
know
sold.
who wants to buy it?
It's a group,
Okay, good.
a couple of whom are like venture capitalists, but
Well, they
the
got
group
money.
does include Cal Ripken Jr.
So
Thank you.
he can be the ambassador of all the things Oriole and boost it back up. I'm so
Yep.
excited.
I know, me too.
So excited.
Catch us up. What's going on with you, Katie?
Well, as always, during the school year, I'm reading a lot about Jesus. So there's that. I am one of my classes. I have the opportunity to go to the General Conference of the United Methodist Church, which is the global meeting of all Methodists from all the corners of the world.
That's fun.
It will be fun. It's a great opportunity that Candler affords us. It's a grant is paying for hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff. It's
Where
10
is it?
days.
Dang.
10 days in Charlotte, which is great. I love Charlotte. So awesome. Um, but part of that is we're taking a class. And we were reading about the 1956 General Conference. We were reading the notes
As you
from it.
do.
Well, that's the year that the United Methodists decided to give women full ordination.
Way to
So
go,
we're
Mindy.
reading about that. And, it's very like back and forth and Robert's rules. And are you amending this? And where are we in the vote? And what are we voting on? It was a lot of that. So I was okay. So I will say I rarely see the name Griffiths with an S in print. It's usually either Griffin or Griffith. It's rarely Griffiths. So we're reading through the notes, and the motion is they're working on passing it, but there's a minority group of people of slim. It only passed by a slim majority, but there's a minority of people that wrote a minority report about why women should not be ordained in the ministry.
And it was signed by Griffiths.
It was signed by Griffiths.
Well,
And I
isn't
was
that
like, of all
something?
the things for me to see my name on.
Isn't that something?
And everybody in the class looked at the Zoom screen and went, "Oh, Katie, your ancestor." And of course, I was like, "Oh, okay." The guy was from New York. Like, I know all about him now because I had to figure out if I was related to this cat. He was born in like 1904. So, I mean, this is a long time ago. He was in Albany, New York at a Methodist church. Um, he's not my relative directly. I'm sure.
I mean, we're all related somehow, but
Right. And Griffiths, but like in my direct line, when my people came over from Wales, they went to North Carolina and then came south. So I'm sure a few of them went north at some point, but this is just not my people. Thank God. But I did think, and everybody's got some good and bad. We've all made good and bad decisions. We aired some of our bad decisions that we have made over the years just a few minutes ago.
woo!
Woohoo! So what what it says about this guy and his preaching is this, and this is what made me laugh. A forceful and eloquent speaker with the ability to clothe spiritual truths in the cloak of humor. And I was like,
Maybe you
same,
are related.
same. But I do also think it's very redemptive, and I'm very happy to have that same last name and to prove him wrong that
Yeah, that's
women
what I'd
can
like.
indeed preach
Absolutely.
and be
Absolutely.
humorous.
That's why I don't really understand the whole, like the people who cloak their Confederate
Yeah,
love in the armor of, well, I'm honoring my ancestors.
I don't
Like,
honor.
you don't get any credit for what your ancestors
No,
did. It's also
no.
not your fault. Like Dak Shepard keeps talking about how he doesn't want to go on the Henry Louis Gates
Yes.
show because he doesn't want to find out his ancestors owned slaves. That's not on you.
No. And Henry Louis Gates said that. I wondered if you watched that. I was going to ask you about that when we were talking about this because it's so true. Like, just like I can't live off of other members of my family's successes and the beautiful things that they did for the church and for the world. I've got some pretty cool ancestors. I can't take credit for that. I can be inspired by that, but I can't take credit for it. I cannot take credit or, be ashamed of this cat. I can prove him wrong and I can do better than he can. And my family did own slaves. I'm a white girl from the South. I mean,
Right?
we all did, whether we like it or not. And what Henry Louis Gates said in that episode was just so true. Like, what can you do about it? You don't want to do it again,
Right.
certainly, but like, it's still not your fault. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was just really at the same time when it first came up on the screen, I was like, "Oh Lord." Because I got some doozies in my family tree that I just go, "Oh Lord, really?" But then I thought, you know what? I have redeemed that notion that women
Absolutely.
should not have the right to vote, to be ordained in the United Methodist Church. And it did pass that year. Again, I will say it was 1956, which is
Why
way
are
too
we
late.
still have, well, are you kidding? At least we did it then.
At least we did it then. But there are still people that say things like, "Oh Lord, we're getting a woman minister, we're doomed." As I have said
Not
many
me.
times.
Not me, as we have talked
I
about.
know, right? So, anyway, it was just weird to see my name in print and a thing like that. And he wasn't all bad, just like every other, my great 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 grandparents or whatever it was that owned slaves. I'm sure were not bad people. They did a bad thing. And they had some good to them as well. I got a few that I don't think had any good in them, but that's a whole
Most,
nother podcast
most
for
of
a
us contain multitudes.
whole nother day. But it goes back to that whole idea of sheep thieves and outlaws. I mean, we all come from people that did things that we're not proud of. So I'm very happy to have proved Harold Griffiths wrong.
Good job.
Oh Lord. The other thing I did this past weekend was I watched a lot of figure skating and it made my heart so happy. It made my heart so happy. But what I loved the most was Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir. And I really think, Mandy, if we ever do decide to start putting the video of our podcast up, that we have to coordinate like those two do. I mean, they had
Listen, I'm gonna have to just stop you there because we are many things. We are not Tara and Johnny.
look, Johnny had almost a crown headpiece on. And I was like, I love that. I mean, they don't match, but they coordinate colors and they're just
I saw on Instagram that now they have a third member of their
they
posse because they have little Georgie.
do.
Tara had a baby girl,
And
and
she
I saw
is
the
so cute.
Instagram story of when Johnny met her for the first time, and it was just
So cute.
adorable.
The cutest little nugget. And she would sit there before, like at the top of the broadcast. You just hear their voices, but at the top of the broadcast, they'll show them. And obviously, because they're fabulous and you want to see their outfits for the day. And so she was holding little Georgie, and she's just the cutest little nugget. And so apparently her husband travels with her because she was like, come here and get her. And he's cute too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it was good to see that she's thriving. Because being a child in that world, and let me tell you, those little skaters that were landing quads are like 15. They're children
crazy.
twirling around in the air 4 times and landing properly. I mean, I don't know. But it's one of those things again where I feel like if I watch it, I can do it. So I was sending lots of text messages to a certain someone like, you can throw triple sow cow me, right? Like that's how this works. Like we believe we can do it and we do it, right? And the response I got was a resounding no.
Negative. That is not anything I have ever thought.
The other thing that I saw, and I just love her so much. I mean, we've talked a lot about Travis and Taylor, but Kylie Kelsey now has a new program. I think they call it something 45. I don't know.
I
But
saw it. I don't remember what it's called though.
it's a campaign to help women and girls have body positivity, especially in sports. And what it's doing is helping coaches, especially male coaches of young women, know how to talk to them about that. Because a lot of times athletes are not the skinniest people in the room. They're very muscular and strong, and they don't look like a model, just like none of us do. And so how do you talk to those girls about body positivity? And that's where her new foundation is going. And once again, it just proves that she should be our best friend.
Yep, it's a campaign with Dove, and Dove has done several
Yes. Good.
body positive campaigns. So
Yeah.
kudos to them.
Kudos to her and to them. And I just love it. So that's where I saw that recently and I thought I would throw that out because we will be talking, I'm sure, a lot about Taylor and Travis. And of course, we all talked about her husband who took his shirt off. But really, the one that is the biggest rock star to me that I know would be my best friend would be Kylie Kelsey. She would love us. Just saying. Um, so that's really, besides reading about Jesus and finding out my family didn't want me to be a minister back in the day. That's really how my week has been, it's been a good week. So there's good things. This week's Olympic moment, there are 2 things. This morning on the Today Show, they had so they've just started on ice skating doing a team sport in the last 2 or maybe just the last
I think it was
Olympics.
just the last one.
So you would have your individual medals and then you would have a team medal. Well, I mean, don't be shocked. And I hope Putin doesn't hear this and come after me, but Russia was accused of doping. They're mainly their single female skater.
Who was
Um,
15?
who was 15, who now they're saying well, they did then too, was supposedly accidentally taking her grandfather's meds. I tend to think that they were doping her up, probably against her will, and I think we should go get her and give her safe haven here in this country. I don't blame her at all. But what it meant is that it negated that medal, that gold medal that the Russians won in the Beijing Olympics. Just today, they have
What did
taken that.
it was earlier this week, but yeah.
Okay, well, earlier this week, they took away that gold medal from the Russians and have given it to the silver medalist team, which just so happens to be
USA.
USA. And I'm so excited that that group has finally gotten what they deserved, a fair medal. And turns out the ice dancers were the winners again from this year. So super excited
Good.
about all that.
Do you follow Johnny on Instagram?
I
You must not,
don't, I must not.
because he was posting about that earlier this week. You need to follow Johnny. And it's interesting with him because his coach was Russian. And so he has a very close he spends a lot of time in Russia, or he historically has. He hasn't so much lately. But he, has very close ties with Russia. And so as soon as he posted that, then he has to post a follow-up
Yeah.
written in English and in Russian,
Yeah.
basically saying, don't talk to me about this. These are all I'm sharing are facts. These are not
Facts.
my judgments. These are not my decisions. Like, don't come at
Yeah.
me. But I thought that
Well,
was
and they're not going to be in the Olympics this summer because of the war in Ukraine. And I personally think they also don't deserve to be in there because of the doping. Because, here, if it is, it's like one little clinic somewhere or one or two athletes. Over there, the government provides it. And there's a huge difference to me. And for many, many reasons, I don't think they should be allowed to participate. And I'm glad they're not. And again, I don't blame that little 15-year-old girl. I mean, she's got to be
right.
what, 18, 17, 18 now? I would go get her. I said this then. We had this conversation when it was happening.
Yeah.
Bring her here, protect her, and let her have a fruitful life in a place, maybe not here, just a place that will appreciate her and not dope her up. Because that's really and truly what I think was happening. So there's my rant for that. Russians. Bad
Our
people.
Russian audience.
I know, right? The other thing, look, I'm not gonna watch this because my very least favorite summer Olympic sport is the marathon. Because it's hours and hours of just watching people running, and that is not exciting to me in any way. But the Marathon Olympic Trials is this weekend, and it just shows that we are closer.
In Orlando.
It begins. It begins. And I'm so excited that we are finally to the place where we can start that process. I will read you. So this, I'm not going to do this a lot, I swear, but I think this is really funny. In my sermon this week, I'm quoting Psalms 147, and this is what it says, that God's delight is not in the strength of the horse, nor is his pleasure in the speed of a runner. So I think that lets
I
me
want a video of that.
off the hook for being a runner. So you go, marathon people, but Jesus said I didn't have to, so I'm not.
I have long said, if you ever see me running, you
Run
better
faster.
run. You better move.
Book it. So those are our Olympic moments for the week. Mandee?
Thanks, ma'am.
I
Those are
think that's,
great.
yeah, a little update on the past and a look to the future.
all
Look at me, journalisming again.
all encompassing.
I know, right? Well, I'm so excited about your food, Mandy, because I cook very little now because I'm back in school reading about Jesus so late in the afternoon. So talk to me about the things that you have found for us this week.
Well, I have still been very uninspired. I've had a peanut butter sandwich the past 2 nights for
I
dinner.
love it.
Listen. So I was thinking I would share just a couple, like a pantry meal that I can always make, which seems really fancy, but it's not, because it is bacon, eggs, Parmesan cheese, and pasta.
Love it.
Full stop. So pasta carbonara. That's literally all you need. And I always have those things in
Yeah.
my pantry and or refrigerator. Bacon, you may say, Mandy, how do you keep bacon all the time? Well, here's what you do, friends. When you get your pack of bacon,
Hmm.
you pull it all out, you get a piece of wax paper,
I do the same thing.
and you lay a piece of bacon down and you flip it over, and then you put another piece of bacon down and you flip it over, and then you can do that with the whole pack. You put it in the freezer,
Yep.
and that way when you are ready to use your bacon, you can just pull off a piece at the time.
I do
And
it.
that and it thaws
Yep.
quickly. You
I
don't have to
sometimes
worry about
even,
it.
if I'm just frying bacon, I'll just put it
Put it
straight
right
in
in
the
the pan.
pan,
Oh, yeah, don't even have to thaw it.
frozen solid, and it
Yep,
cooks just fine.
yep. So, that is how I always have that available. The recipe that I typically at this point, I don't even really need a recipe, but, the Amateur Gourmet, I'll link to it.
Okay.
It's a recipe that I usually use, kinda go off of to do my pasta carbonara. Um, but yeah, so that's just an easy thing. It's one of those where you're like, "What am I supposed to cook?" And it,
Yeah.
feels a little fancier than just macaroni and tuna.
And that's why I like what we're doing, is because sometimes it's always like that. And I think, just like I've said before,
That
putting
was
it
a
out in the
really good
world
that was a really good sentence.
gives
Sometimes it's always like that. I think we need to put that on a t-shirt for sure.
right under outlaws and sheep thieves and slow roasted tomatoes, which I made a batch today, by the way.
Good job.
But it, we sometimes food is just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and giving each other grace for all those days is exactly what we're here for. So thank you, Mandy. I love that.
Absolutely. And then the other thing I was gonna recommend is a product. It's from Whole Foods, and I can't
Okay.
remember when I got it, back in the fall, I think maybe. They are frozen Belgian waffles. Okay?
Love it.
They're tiny little waffles. Not
Okay.
tiny, but they're small.
Okay.
They're not like a big waffle iron size waffle. They're
All
probably
right.
like 3/4 of that, maybe. And they're like sweet already. So, like, the first time I ever made them, I was like, "Ugh, I don't have any maple syrup.
Right.
Daggone." And then I took a bite and I was so glad I had not put maple syrup
Because
on
then it
this
would be
frozen
too
waffle
much.
because it is already sweet.
Love it.
So, I finished the box I had actually this weekend with some Florida strawberries on top,
Love it.
and some bacon that I had pulled out of the freezer and put right in my pan. Um, so just those are a great sort of easy, again, looks really fancy,
Yep.
just a frozen waffle
And I
from
have not ventured to Whole Foods yet. There is one on the way to Trader Joe's, but I feel like so I need suggestions for Whole Foods. I'm gonna put these waffles on there.
well, I will tell you, I got big we got a Whole Foods maybe a year or 2 before COVID hit. But when COVID hit, I mean, y'all, I didn't set foot in a grocery store for a
Yeah.
year. Not exaggerating. And so when I figured out that Publix Instacart was jacking up the Publix prices and charging you a delivery fee, is when it dawned on me it's a whole lot cheaper for me to just order straight from Whole Foods. They charge a delivery fee now, they did not then.
Yeah.
But that's when I started, like, it was so much cheaper for me to shop at Whole Foods than it was Publix. It was ridiculous. Plus,
Yeah.
I hate Publix with the fire of 10,000 suns.
Yes.
So
Mostly what's around me, what's close, is Publix.
I know
But
I get it, but
I
it
have to drive to and past a Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's to get to my friend's house, so I go often.
okay. So yeah. But yeah, and they're they have a whole line. It's like Whole 365, I think is
Mhm.
what it is. It's sort of like
Mm.
their store brand,
Yeah.
and you can often find quite good, that cost the same. Because what I'm doing now is I'm also ordering from Walmart
Mm,
because I have figured out that with the Walmart app, I actually joined the Walmart Plus for delivery, but even if you don't do that, you can go pick it up and they don't charge you anything extra and they don't jack up their prices.
love
So
that.
you can not ever set I don't know why anybody ever sets foot in Walmart.
I don't step foot in Walmart. I don't go in. I don't like a Walmart. I don't Walmart.
I never shopped for food at Walmart until I found this app, and now I'm like, "Well, you'll bring it to me?" Now, granted, 5 times out of 6, they screw it up,
Yeah.
but,
We don't. I'm
sometimes you win,
trying to
sometimes you lose. I currently have about 3 bottles of Italian seasoning. Dude, it'll take me 4 years to
think.
use it all. I'm real sorry for whoever was looking for that Italian seasoning in those tomatoes that night that ended up at my house along with your toilet paper. But, you know, the next time I ordered, all I wanted was my French onion dip, and it was not included.
We have more Target than we have Walmart. So around here, there's not really I don't go in Target. I don't like the big box stores.
Listen, it's a trip into town to go to Target. It takes me
Yeah.
30 minutes to get to Target.
No, we have lots of Target, no Walmart, and lots of Publix, no nothing else. So, but I'm gonna start a Whole Foods list. In fact, I'm gonna do it right now and put
Yeah, I
Belgian
recommend it.
waffles on it.
And now they too, you can order on their app, and if you pick it up, they do not charge you a fee.
Really?
If you get it delivered, it's a $10 delivery fee.
Okay.
But I'm not that's the other thing. The Whole Foods is in Destin, which is, a
Yeah.
solid depending on the time of year, it's a solid 20-minute drive right now. In a couple of weeks, it will take me an hour and a half to get there. So, I'm not going. But I will get delivery there and pay the $10 because it is worth my sanity not to have to drive through that traffic.
Amen.
Gracie, what are you eating?
Oh Lord.
Anyway, so yeah, that's
Anyway,
what I got, and we'll work on maybe my next food round, it'll just be all
Whole
Whole
Foods
Foods.
ideas. I love that. I
Yeah,
need that in my life.
okay. Well, talk to us about your favorites.
So I have mentioned on here, but I haven't told the full story because I'm waiting for like more July 4th, which is where his main narrative comes in, is on July 3rd and 4th. But my grandfather, he actually flew in B-25s as a tail gunner in World War II. And Masters of the Air is now on Apple
Started it
TV.
last night.
It is so good. I have cried a lot because the little kid, so to be in the tail, you got to be really short, and to be in the ball turret, it's the same way. And so Morris was a short little fella, so they stuck him in the tail gunner position. And so the kid that they have playing the tail gunner on this B-17, it's the B-17s in the 100th, not Mars's squadron in a B-25. Could be Marswin. I mean, he's got the same moppy kind of hair. He's little, short. He could be Marswin, and it just.
Yeah, it's by Hanks and Spielberg. It's
Yes.
another sort of iteration of Band of Brothers and the Pacific.
Right. So this is the Air Force kind of saga, where the Pacific has had their saga. It was a lot. Well, I guess it was pilots too, but and then the first one was an army group that they followed. But this is the 100th air squadron. So that they're following, which Mars was not in. He flew in a different plane, but the plane's getting shot down and all the
Oh my
things.
gosh.
I'm like a weepy mess.
If you've never watched Band of Brothers, oh my God. Like every Memorial Day,
Oh my
I sit
God.
down and rewatch Band of
Yeah,
Brothers.
it's so good.
At least my favorite episodes, because it was several, like 10 or
It's
12, something like that. And then the Pacific is probably,
it's
it doesn't
good.
get as much press, but it may be better.
It's really good.
But y'all, they just give you an
Oh
appreciation
God.
of being in that war. Like it's just like it's like Saving Private Ryan, that first scene in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
It's sort of like that, but you follow these guys from like boot camp to V-Day.
And it's just anyway, so we'll see if I can actually watch it through the tears. But it's so good. The only
Co-sign.
thing, Austin Butler needs to drop the Elvis accent just a little bit, like he's supposed to be from Wyoming.
I
And I'm
just saw
like,
something.
you're
I didn't
still
read it.
Elvis, buddy.
I didn't read it, but I saw a headline that said he had to ask somebody to help him stop with the
Yeah.
Elvis accent.
Yeah.
So this must have been filmed before he made that request.
Yeah. But it's so good. He's so good in it. He's
He's so cute.
not bad to look at. I was going to say hot, but okay, cute is
Oh,
fine. But they're, the little things like in the first episode, maybe the second, one of them, because one of the planes has a hole in it, it's really cold. And so their hands freeze to the metal and on their machine guns. I would have never thought that that would be a thing. And I'm just sitting there going, is that what happened
yeah,
with
that one,
Morris,
the one where the gun gets jammed and he takes his
Yes.
gloves off and like
Yes.
singes his hands, and I thought those hands bothered that. Yeah, I hope to
Yep.
God that man lived and became like my pawpaw and
Right.
complained about his hands all the time, and now his grandchildren are looking at it going, well, that's why,
Well,
that's how
that's
that
why.
happened.
Right, and Mars never complained about anything, so if they bothered him, I wouldn't have ever known because he was just anyway. But I just every little thing like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, he had to do that. And
Hmm.
one thing he said that because we found a lot of his records, and that's part of my brother did a lot of research, and I'm very thankful that he did. There's a squadron, his squadron. I have all the notes from his last mission. And the detail and the eyewitness reports and all the things. And I cry every time I read them on July 3rd. But he told my grandmother just because I think he didn't want her, Charlie thinks he didn't want her to think about Morris killing people, but he said he never shot his tail gun. And there's just no way. I believed
Right.
it when I was little because Morris told me, and that's just what you
Right.
believe. But there's just no way. He had to have,
Yeah, especially watching this. There's
yeah,
like,
especially watching this. Yeah. So
yeah.
if you love history, if you have not watched Band of Brothers, I know Mandee would co-sign on this. Like, go watch it. You have to watch it. It's a huge part of our history, but it's also just really good
Yeah.
to watch. It's good.
Yeah.
And so I've loved this. I'm glad you've started
So
watching it.
I've
I mean,
watched the first two episodes. I
like,
think are the only two out.
cry. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
No, there may be a third now.
I think it's
I don't
coming out on
remember.
Friday.
Okay. Yeah. I'll cry again on Friday then. Um, so the other thing I've been watching because I love what's her Jodie Foster is True Detective. But I had never watched all of the seasons of True Detective. This is the fourth,
I
and
watched the first one.
which is the best one so far.
Time is a flat circle.
Yes. Well, the first one influences the current one. So if you
Okay.
liked the first one, you can skip over 2 and 3 if you don't want to watch them. But this season is real good and it ties back to season 1. Um, it's a little like I can't watch it at night. It's a little scary. I had to
Yeah.
watch a cooking show after it the other night, so I didn't have a nightmare. But it's really good. And that first season of True Detective is great TV. It's Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, who are in real life probably brothers. And they didn't know it at the time they filmed that, but they've since
Yeah.
learned that Matthew McConaughey's mother had a fling with Woody Harrelson's father. They're doing the DNA test and everything. I can't wait to hear how this saga turns out.
Are you
So,
serious?
yes.
I thought you were kidding.
No, no, I'm not kidding. So they were on a talk show together. I think it was one of the night, like Colbert or something. Matthew's mom and dad were separated.
Well, they divorced and remarried like 3 times.
Yeah. And during one of those, about the time Matthew was made, She
You
was
mean
dating
Woody?
Woody Harrelson's father.
Oh, I did. You know what? I did hear that.
And so they may be legitimately half brothers.
Oh, so they're thinking that Woody's dad and Matthew's mom made Matthew.
Made Matthew.
Uh, I would really worry about Matthew if that happened because he has a real fondness for his father.
He does, who I think has passed at this point. I think his mom
I
is
think
the
they're
only
both.
one. But
I
I
think
think,
I think his mom's dead too.
yeah,
His dad
yeah.
died while making love to his mother, dropped dead of a heart attack.
Look, it checks. But yeah,
Been
so they may
remarried three
legitimately be
times and
brothers.
died while making love to her. And they have a son named Rooster. How you doing?
Welcome to Texas. But yeah, so I mean so the first season is those two, and it's really, really, really good. I highly recommend that first season. 2 and 3 are good too. They have great actors in every season. Nothing compared to that first one. This one is very interesting. It's very scary, but it harkens back to the first season. So highly recommend that you watch both of those.
Okay.
I saw the sunshine for the first time in like 2 weeks the other day, and it made me so happy. So sunshine is one of my favorite things this week because it was in really short supply. And
It
my
has been.
seasonal blues were like kicking in high gear because I hadn't seen the sun in like 3 weeks.
Even here in the Sunshine State, it has been in short supply.
Yes, and it rained and rained and rained buckets and buckets and buckets, and I had to white knuckle at home or to and from school the other day. It's just been gray and gross, and so the sunshine is making me happy. In fact, I see blue sky right now, and it's just I'm happy with that.
Yay.
Yay. I don't remember if I said anything last week, but I found some at Trader Joe's. Like I like to keep a couple frozen things in the freezer just to add to a piece of chicken or something if I just am trying to cook relatively healthy. But the Parmesan Brussels sprouts, if you like Brussels sprouts, are delicious. And
Are
just like,
they're frozen, you
yeah,
said?
just like the seasoned carrots, I just pull out a handful, put them on a cookie sheet, and cook them while I reheat or cook whatever protein I'm making. But they're so good. The
Good to know.
Parmesan, highly recommend. And then music. Today, one of my favorite bands, Drew Holcumb and the Neighbors, came out with a new song, and that's who inspired the title of our podcast. It said somewhere that they're coming out with the full album later, but this song is called Brick by Brick, and the words are very beautiful.
Can't wait to check it
They
out.
could be written about me, but it's a really good song, and I can't wait to hear the whole album when it comes out. But go check out Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors.
Exciting.
And then the other band, sometimes I find these little quirky things. These girls are just now on Apple Music.
Okay.
It's only 4 of their songs, but they are all over the Clock app. They're on YouTube, but they're the name of their band is called the Chattahoochies.
Okay.
And the lead singer sounds like she is like a 3-pack a day smoker. She's got that real kind of raspy country voice that I love. And they write these hilarious songs. The ones on Apple Music, hold on, I just looked them up. The Chattahoochies, and that really is their name. They call themselves the Hoochies. One of them is called I Dodged a Mullet, about thank God they didn't end up with the guy that has the mullet. And then Pink Drink, which is about going to the bar and ordering whatever pink drink, but they call it a pink drink. I mean, they're funny. They're, it's just, they're good. They're fun to listen to. And it's even more fun to watch their videos on YouTube
Okay.
because they're crazy, but they're
Okay.
great. They're great.
I like it. I like it.
So the Chattahoochies and Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors.
Okay.
There we go.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So tell me, what do you got coming up, Mandee? What are
Not
we
a
going to be hearing about next week?
not a daggone thing.
Well, that's good.
I'm real excited about it.
Oh,
Um, I say confidently, the way the year has started, I should
yeah.
knock on all the
Knock
wood.
on something when you, I think it'll
Uh,
finally, by the time this podcast comes out, we'll be done with the 875 days of January and we'll finally be in February.
Listen, when I made the previously aforementioned stop at the grocery store on my way in, I may have been stopping to buy myself a steak and some wine because I declared Sunday my New Year's Eve redo.
Love it.
We just went ahead and didn't count January. We started a new year on Monday.
Done.
Just moving on.
Love it.
Moving on.
Love it. Yeah. So we're finally done with January, which really has felt like it's gone on for 3 years.
Good Lord.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I got nothing. I'm hoping to get back into some sort of semblance of a routine. Just keeping Gracie until Friday, but don't have any travel plans coming up. Don't have any, hopefully no emergencies on the horizon. So what about
hopefully.
you? What's going on?
So this weekend, I'm going to Macon because it's Civic Club show weekend. Do you know the Civic Club show?
I do not.
It started off as a minstrel show, if you knew what that was, back in the 40s and 50s. And they have fortunately seen the error of their ways in that and made it more of a musical review. So, like, my doctor is up on stage singing and dancing. My accountant is up there. My friends are up there.
It's a
And
fundraiser for
yeah,
something.
it's a fundraiser. The Civic Club raises money and then like hundreds of thousands of dollars they raise and give it out throughout the year to different local organizations like the Reading Foundation for Music and the Children's Hospital and all different kinds of places. So they've been doing it for a very, very long time. I have gone since I was a little bitty girl. This year, some friends of mine are the chairman, the show chairman, and they can sing. Talk about singing. They can sing.
Well, good.
And so I don't. And so I will be in the audience hooting and hollering for my people that are singing on the stage. They like to also say that they're funny men that come out, and sometimes they're funny and sometimes they're not.
Not not just all men.
Right. Well, yes. And so, anyway, I'm so excited to go hear my friends sing and to I'm gonna have dinner before. And it's gonna be great.
Good.
So
Where are you
I'm
going to
super
dinner?
excited. We're going to Dovetail,
Like Dovetail too.
which I'm so excited to do that. So that'll be a great weekend. And then I come back Saturday because I have to preach on Sunday.
Yes, you did.
So it'll be fun. It's the big gala night. So one night they sell more expensive tickets and you can go out to the front and have food and cocktails, but we're not doing all that. We're just going to go backstage and see. My friend I'm going to dinner with, her husband is in the show and she is not. And so we are sitting together in the audience and
Well, good.
gonna have fun. So that'll be good. Um and then just more Jesus after that, just reading some more, writing some more. Ash Wednesday is on Valentine's Day this year.
Coming up.
So instead of crosses, I'm going to be putting hearts on their foreheads. They thought
Well,
that was funny when I said it in church on Sunday.
we do have a momentous day coming up
We
uh
do?
next week. It is one Birch Barger's birthday.
Is it?
Groundhog Day. Happy Birchie's birthday.
Archie's birthday. I love
Birthday,
it.
Birchie. You know
Happy
I will
early
not be
birthday.
mailing you a card.
Yeah, look, I was told for so long that if I was important enough, we'd celebrate my birthday. So I just don't like birthdays either. I don't like to be I don't
Oh,
like to be pointed out in any way, but
I will buy you a card
no,
and I will pick it out. I will put it in an envelope. I will address it.
and
There
never
is
mail
something
it.
wrong with me.
Yeah.
I cannot get it in the mail.
Yes.
Birch is well acquainted with this phenomenon.
The other thing I'm gonna do this weekend, so I may come back with a bauble, is one of my necklaces broke, and so I'm going to see my favorite jeweler. And every
How
time I go in there,
bougie can you be that you have a favorite jeweler?
he has okay, when I tell you he is the most affordable jeweler on the planet, like once a year he cleans my stuff. He has a he has okay, his whole jewelry place, including his workshop, is as big as your bedroom. So he's very reasonably priced, but he also does a lot of consignment stuff. So he's a lot of estate jewelry, which I love, and it's really good prices. So I may come back with another bauble.
I think you should.
And he knows it too. He's like, "Ooh, Kate." When I talked to him today, he said, "I got something I think you'll like."
Oh boy.
Great.
Should. I think you should.
Yeah. And so I'll go to Creators. I'll do all my things that I normally do in town.
Go eat some breadsticks for me. I've been having a hankering for some breadsticks.
I think I may. So my friend Will and I are going to go to lunch while I'm in town, Wilbur, and I may try to convince him to go to IBP.
And Will was with you when you met John T, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Will, here's hoping you have a much tamer. I don't know. That was pretty fun.
That was hilarious. He's
I
still
say
like,
go for it.
what the hell just happened?
Well,
Yeah,
I
so
hope it is a
that's what I'm
fabulous
doing.
trip.
Yeah. And then I go right back again on the 16th for something else. And then I have to go right back again to, this is going to sound the bougiest of all. I haven't even told you about the bougiest of all. I have a skin tag on my eye. It's right there, right, like right by the corner of my eyeball. And I will cut a skin tag off, no problem. But this is right at my eyeball. So my plastic surgeon is going to cut it off for me at the end of the month.
Is it a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist?
Plastic surgeon.
Okay, so you have a plastic surgeon.
I have a plastic surgeon.
Clarify.
I have not used his services yet, but because he's a friend from a long time ago, but I have a plastic surgeon. His mother-in-law's a dear friend. She was like, "Katie, you don't want a scar on your face." I'm like, "I don't care." So she's like, "No, we're gonna let him do it." And so she sent him the picture of my eyeball, and he's like, he said, "I know her. Tell her do not get scissors anywhere near her eyeball, or she will be blind."
My sister, the nurse practitioner's rule
Yeah.
is don't ever let anybody other than a plastic surgeon do anything on your face.
Yeah. So he's doing that to my face.
Okay, well, good. Well,
so I'll be back and forth to making a whole lot.
I will wish you well and safe travels.
Thank you.
My sister did ask me if I wanted to come to Nashville for the Mandee boys baseball banquet.
You should.
I just feel like I'm gonna sit real still for a while. The last time I went to the banquet, Dansby was there. But I think Dansby's already going to be in Arizona based on his new podcast that I've been listening to. I think he's going to already be in Arizona, so I'll be all right. Not going to, I love the Mandee boys baseball banquet. But
whatever makes you happy, ma'am.
Oh, you're
if it's Sabbath and rest, you do that.
I think that might be the season we are entering into.
Amen.
Okay, well, I hope you have a great week.
Thank
and Brooker, if you have
Brooker.
happened to have read my message on Instagram by now and have listened, you can just go back to all the other episodes and fast forward to the very end.
To the very end.
Yes.
Flip a table, Brooke.
Katie may have been talking about your Christmas garland.
I did. I would tell her if I thought she would read an Instagram direct message, I would tell her it's time to take it down, Brooke.
So, but
I did inspire Birch to put her Christmas up.
You did. See, Brooke, you're just compounding
a vessel
into the
vessel for the message.
And we love you. And I wish I could have sung with you last weekend too.
So much. We love her so much.
And Myra Jane had on the cutest white coat I've ever. She's the cutest.
She is in pocket size too. She's a Polly Pocket, and she's beautiful, and I love her.
But I hope everybody has a great week, and we love y'all. Thanks for listening.
Bye, y'all. Go find your people.